COVID-19 test for the New York Giants. One offensive lineman tested positive yesterday, so the entire line, including 2 staff members, were sent home yesterday. They worked virtually. I'm told today they are going to be back in the building because of the rain. They will practice indoors. All meetings will go down virtually, but really good news considering this game is going to be on Monday Night Football right here on ESPN against the Bucs. So no new COVID-19 positive test for the New York Giants today.
Okay, excellent news there. It would suggest that game should go on as scheduled. Meanwhile, let's look at some of the other big games this weekend, and this is as big a game as you could ask for in the AFC East between the Patriots and the Bills as they get set to go head-to-head, and New England will go into this one without one of its best-known players and one of its most dynamic weapons, and that is, of course, wide receiver Julian Edelman, who underwent a precautionary standard knee procedure yesterday and is expected to miss Sunday's road game against the Bills. It's a critical game in every conceivable way. His quarterback, Cam Newton, meanwhile, is addressing his team's play and the team's 3-game losing streak. Here's Cam.
This is a must-win for us, and I'm going to control the things that I can control. Losing is not acceptable in this locker room, in this county, in this state, in this area, in this region. So, Cameron Newton, you need to pick your expletive up.
So he understands the gravity of the situation. Look at RC's face. Look at RC's face. But Ninkovich, I want to start with you because you played there all those years and you know what misery comes with any losing in New England. What would you imagine this week is like for them?
I mean, it's their season. It's everything right now. And last week I said it was one of the biggest games that I could remember. So this is the biggest game that I could probably remember because of the fact that if they lose this game, they've dug themselves in a hole so deep they can't get out of it. And if that happens, I would see them before the trade deadline trying to get as many draft picks in equity. They have a lot of cap room for next season. So if they lose this game, they're going to be sellers, and they're going to try and get as many draft picks as possible. So this is a must-win game for the Patriots. If they do not win, their season pretty much is over.
To put it in perspective, they would be 3.5 games functionally behind Buffalo if they were to lose this game to the Bills on Sunday. RC, what was your facial reaction to what Cam Newton said there?
It sounded like Cam had received that letter, right? It almost sounded like he was reciting or reading a letter, maybe some fan mail that talked about the county, talked about the region, and telling Newton to get his stuff together. And now I'm not saying that he actually got a letter, but that has to be how it feels for Patriot fans right now, for Patriots fans to have 2 decades of winning, and now all of a sudden you get the new guy in town and you can't buy a win. And it looks bad, right? It doesn't even feel right. You aren't even necessarily competitive offensively. And so I know for Cam Newton, for the New England Patriots, this game is extremely important, and all eyes will be on QB1. But I think that all eyes should also be on Bill Belichick. For years, we have lauded this man and applauded him as being the greatest football coach of all time, the best we've ever seen on an NFL sideline. Well, he's going to have to work the other 2 phases, which are special teams, defense, find a way with Josh McDaniels to get the offense to move just enough to win an extremely important game. We've watched him win 6 of the biggest games ever played. Well, this is going to be one of those games where the GOAT, where the guy that has 6 rings has to show us all why he has them without the other man he won all those rings with.
That's exactly right. I mean, so much of this week has been Brady and Bill. And Bart, as you look at this game here, and now Cam is going to have to do it without Edelman, and it might be for a prolonged period of time. What do you think?
I mean, to Ryan's point, right here is a list of all the drafts from the last 5 years in which the great Bill Belichick has had numerous picks. He hasn't been able to really come up with any stars. I believe that he hasn't drafted a Pro Bowler since 2013. So this is a bigger indictment on Bill Belichick, not the coach, but the general manager and his ability to surround his team with talent. But when you have the perfect eraser, the equalizer in Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, it didn't matter who was out at receiver. He would make it work. So I think this is a bigger case for Tom Brady to say that he was the reason why that organization was successful for all those years. because you take him away, and it's like when LeBron left the Cavaliers. It's like you went with these cats. You go from being maybe the winning the division,
Don't you do that,
contender, to not even being able to make the playoffs. You're going to get shut out by the Buffalo Bills. I mean, this is a big indictment on Bill Belichick, and maybe Bill Belichick, the general manager, should be fired and on the hot seat and keep the coach around because the coach is outstanding.
Who am I hearing? Go ahead.
What is happening here? We're firing Bill Belichick
no,
because he has one bad season. Look, this is going to be Julian Edelman. What is he got? Clown. Thank you.
Welcome back, Rob. Welcome to the average pool, buddy.
What's wrong with you?
I've been here with the Jets for a long time. Welcome. It's okay over here. Come to misery. You guys going to win again for a long, long time, buddy.
The loss of Julian Edelman is a huge deal.
He's 34 years old.
He is, but he still leads his teams in receptions and targets and yards right now.
That team are somewhere else on another team.
The Jets. But they'll take anybody. That's my point.
Exactly.
No, you know what he should do? He should go play with his friend Tom Brady.
For the Jets.
You know what? If the AB experiment doesn't work out, he can just land in Tampa Bay. That would probably be a perfect landing spot for him, and he'd be great there.
Can I bring Rob Ninkovich back in here just briefly? Why did you just put the clown mask on?
He can say what he wants. It is what it is.
I mean,
the numbers don't lie, right?
Where did that mask come from?
I'm listening. Listen, when I hear someone say replace Bill Belichick, that's why I put the mask on.
I said the general manager. Silly. The general manager sucks. Name me a great pick that he has on all these picks.
Come on, this is the first year in 20 years.
That was 2013.
20 years that they've
That was the last one I could think of.
Come on.
I have to move on from this for a moment. Let's get up and go. We will come back to it, but we should tell you that last night the Falcons played the Panthers, and the Falcons finally held on to a fourth quarter lead. Teddy Bridgewater picked off at the end of the game, and Atlanta wins at 25-17. Meanwhile, in a stunning move from baseball yesterday, the White Sox named 76-year-old Hall of Famer Tony La Russa as their new manager. He last managed the Cardinals in 2011. He began his career as a manager with the White Sox in 1979. And now he's coming back. And then, of course, our top story of the day. Star Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence has tested positive for the coronavirus. He will miss this Saturday's game against Boston College. He is isolating with mild symptoms. They play Notre Dame a week from Saturday. There are so many questions. Let's bring in Dr. Myron Roll, who is a neurosurgeon resident and now charged with treating COVID patients. And, of course, we remember he was a great safety at Florida State in the NFL. Myron, it's great to see you again. So let's start with this. A young athlete like Trevor Lawrence, who is obviously in great shape, what is the recovery process like for someone like him with mild symptoms?
Well, thanks for having me. His recovery is going to be tough, certainly, because he's obviously used to working out and being in an environment with other players in a situation where he may be exposed over and over again and sort of restart his clock of